The boot was nearly kicked off the heel, where Swiss cheese holes sprouted from the back of his gray sock. Damn tweaker, the guard thought. But then he saw a clear bottle and an empty brown bag. Nope, just another drunk. One who smelled somewhere on the spectrum between homeless dead and the walking dead. He was looking for a place to set down his coffee so that he could call it in when the man's bent leg shot forward and a gurgle erupted from his throat. Rooker Lindström blinked at the blob of light bouncing around. Is someone talking? His brain spun in a darkness that unraveled before his eyes. Where in the hell am I? Then the smell of piled city street garbage hit as powerfully as an aluminum bat crack across the face, and things started to come into view. Trees, darkness. His body confused the peaceful September night for a molten July day. The hem of his shirt was wet, sweat and booze-soaked. A foul brew of stenches, musty clothes, cheap liquor, and puke. Rooker imagined watery chunks and webbed slobber dripping from his mouth. A violent exorcism belch erupted from his throat without warning. His head snapped forward. He swallowed hard. The taste, when the belch climbed out of his mouth, was wretched. He could smell the bile burning hot in his throat. He had hurled at some point, and the taste only made him ready to heave once more. For the second time, he heard the gravelly voice. "Hey, man!" He tried to focus on it, but his eyelids were still heavy. Suddenly, not sure why, he thought of Amy's Cafe, a diner in Riverside County off Magnolia Avenue. The blueberry syrup was a thick goop oozing out of the glass dispenser, but delicious on chocolate chip pancakes. Now it was as though his eyes were coated in it. "Hey, buddy!" Maybe it was the Grim Reaper. Maybe the light was death finally taking him, walking him toward the afterlife. The voice wasn't quite as mystical or otherworldly as he'd imagined. He pegged death as more of a James Earl Jones type, but this was higher-pitched and slow with a Minnesota accent. "You can't sleep here. Come on, get up." Rooker squinted behind the shield of his hand. It was just a flashlight's piss-yellow stream waving down in his face. Still, it forced his eyes to well in the corners, nearly welded shut. He could make out a large, shadowed mass about 5 feet 10, 200 pounds or so. Rooker hung off the bench, his hand dangling limp to the cold ground. He'd made an effort to drink less. Nothing as drastic as throwing out all the liquor in the cottage, though. He'd even yet to move the bottle of Absolute from plain sight into a cupboard, and he grimaced as the tips of his fingers brushed against the cold glass of a handle of cheap vodka. He could hear the bottle clunk as it spun on the concrete. The sound made him thirsty. He shifted his weight. A few bones creaked. After a few seconds of groaning and getting his stiff joints to do as his brain commanded, he sat upright and looked at the burly man beneath a military salute to block out the light. He still wasn't sure where he was. "Is this my bedroom?" he asked the man. His voice was hoarse. He scratched at the straggly hairs coming in black and gray and patchy where his beard connected to his mustache. His disheveled waves looked matte black in the dark, but now the flashlight gave them a shampooed, silky sheen. "Get up," the man said, irritated. "Don't make me call it in." Rooker appraised the man's aggressive stance, the pumped-out chest, the spindly fingers that had inched toward the black pepper spray canister. Rooker didn't move. He wasn't entirely sure that he could yet, but it was also his stubbornness kicking in. If he wanted to sleep the booze off on was this a park bench? Who was this guy to tell him he couldn't? "Up," the man commanded. And Rooker felt the man soccer kick the sole of his boot as if it were intended for a net just beneath the crossbar. Rooker's foot fell off the side of the bench, his heel thudding to the ground. He felt his stomach filled to the rim, mostly alcohol sloshing left and right. "Buddy, you touch me again."